Hey guys.
Hello.
Mr. Lee.
Hi. Oh my God!
Gracias. Pásame las cosas. No postino. Okay.
Now I'm going to speak English because I'm trying to practice my English. I won't use my normal Spanish, but I'll do what I can in English.
Okay, mi español está así. So vamos a tomar questions. So, are you getting questions for Mr. Lee?
Don't make it a tough one.
Quisiera saber qué recomendación le daría a alguien que aspira a ser escritor de cómics.
He's asking, what advice would you give for an inspiring writer?
Right.
Escribe.
I don't, that is the toughest question I ever get. People ask, what advice would I give to an artist or a writer? The only thing you can do if you're a writer, just write the best things you can and submit those things to editors of a magazine or a newspaper or a book publisher, whatever it is you're writing for, and hope that it's good enough that they'll want to publish it. But there's no other advice you can give. Just write the best you can and then try to sell it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Dentro de sus gustos de lectura de películas, ¿cuál ha sido una obra que lo ha hecho llorar?
Out of all the things that you read, you go and which one is the one that has your emotion? One that kind of like put a tear in your eye? What story, if it's a comic book or?
I think maybe the first Fantastic Four, because I never thought it would be so popular. I never thought the book would sell so well. So that really surprised me and pleased me very much. He is telling me I'll sign and speak at the same time. He thinks I can't do both at the same time.
¿En qué se basan sus personajes? ¿De dónde sale la naturaleza de sus personalidades, de todos los personajes?
Where do you
Put it on the side.
where do you get your personality? What extent these things?
I have no idea. I guess my parents, I guess we all inherit whatever we have from our parents. So my parents must have had this wonderful personality that I inherit.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Mr. Sully. I want to say something. In first place, I want to tell you how grateful I am because you give us this opportunity to be here in Mexico with us.
I say
His hearing is a little bad, that's why.
my hearing is very bad, so he translates for me. What was that?
She says she's very grateful for you being here.
Well, thank you very much, and it's wonderful being here. I think you people are just great.
I know that a lot of people will make everything is possible to be here because you create a universe in which everybody dream, imagine, and even though we learn to read.
Are you going to remember all of that?
Yeah.
Yes, I did it all as a favor to you.
Right now we have kids, we educate in them, inspire in the principles that you teach us. Loyalty, friendship, love to the family, and respect for everyone. My question is, how do you feel?
Hang on, wait a second. This is the kid, you show the kids. I like in the story that you wrote. It says that the kids like your story because it's surprising.
If I had known that the stuff I wrote was so good, I'd have asked for more money for it.
My question is, how do you feel that you leave us this legacy to the new generations?
How do you feel when you have a legacy?
Well, when I think about it, it feels wonderful. It's hard to believe, but
Sí.
feels great.
Thank you.
Un poco de veces él no se cree que como hizo el mundo de Marvel, como lo hizo, él no entiende how big it is. Él cree es,
What does comerito mean?
what I'm saying, what you created is that you minimize it. You accept it as part of your job.
It is.
Era su trabajo para hacer, más él no entiende que lo hizo así. So, yo le explico, tú eres como Disney es para el mundo de Walt Disney.
Can you understand what he's saying?
¿Me entienden? Porque el mundo de Disney es grandazo y el mundo de Marvel, de chistes, es él. Y no puede, comprende, you know.
I know what no comprende means.
me da, cuando lo miro, es algo diferente. Yo trabajo con él como casi 10 años y cada vez habla de algo, es algo nuevo que aprendo de él. Pues como explica,
You know, you didn't even need me here at this meeting.
I was saying to him how Disney Walt accepted how Walt changed theme parks, Disney characters, and I tell him with you, it's just a job that you don't understand the magnitude, how you affected all these people. Wow. Cool. Okay, done. Yes.
At what age he started to write comic books?
What age did you start writing comics?
Oh, I started.
Trabajando en chistes o cuando estaba escribiendo las cosas.
Ah, ok. Aquí abajo. Ah, ok. Está aquí abajo.
It was the same age, 'cause when I got involved in the comic book business, that's when I started writing comics.
Ok.
And it was in about 1960. I don't have a good memory. Is that right?
No, when you
Sí, todavía. Sí, o sea, ahorita estamos en el meeting. Va a ser hasta las 10, 10.
You mean I worked there for 20 years before I did the Fantastic Four? Really? I wasted all that time? I didn't remember.
Cuando él entró para trabajar con su tío, lo mandó para hacer, quiero que trabajes aquí, tenía como nosotros lo llamamos, un gopher. Dice, tráeme café, tráeme un sándwich. Así trabajaba, y cuando trabajaba así, él trabajaba para Jack Kirby y el otro.
I know what that means, Jack Kirby. Steve Ditko?
No.
Oh, Joe Simon.
Joe Simon.
They were a team. They called themselves Joe Simon and Jack Kirby.
Él trabajó para él antes, entonces cuando cumplió 18, 19 años, a eso es cuando le hicieron el editor. Su tío dijo otra vez que necesita una persona para mandar a toda la gente a trabajar, o el jefe, como quieras. Y entonces dijo, ok, lo hago. Y entonces al principio su career as an editor. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Stanley. One question. What do you think is essential to write a good hero, and what's essential to make a good villain?
What is essential to write a good villain?
What is essential?
No, what does it take to make a good villain and a good hero?
Well, it's the same thing that it takes to write anything that'll be successful. You have to have characters that the reader cares about. It doesn't matter if he's a villain or a hero or just an incidental character, but the reader has to imagine this character is real, and the reader has to be interested in the character. So you've got to make your character a very interesting person. See, like, I would never use him because he's not that interesting. But it doesn't matter if it's a hero or a villain. You have to want to know more about him because he's interesting. I was only fooling. You're a little bit interesting.
Me? Okay. Mr. Lee, when did you realize that your work was not just only successful? It was something big, like something larger than life.
When did you realize that your work was not only successful, but it was achieved?
There was a change in my life.
Well, yeah. No, I can't afford, I can do what I want.
Oh, I've never been able to do what I want to. I'm always answerable to somebody. My wife, mainly. I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I realized after a while that our books were selling well, so I knew that the stories were succeeding. But you never rest when you think you're doing well. You try to do better. So right now I'm working on movies and television shows and things like that, and I'm hoping that they'll do well. In fact, I'm working on a new Latin hero, a superhero, which you'll read about in about 8 months. The book ought to be out. And you never stop. I mean, if you're doing something you enjoy doing, you just keep doing it, and you don't say to yourself, well, I've succeeded, so now I'll stop. But you say to yourself, I'll bet I can do something better if I tried. So you just keep trying. And he keeps translating, and I keep signing.
Me? Yes. Mr. Stanley, well, first of all, my name is Armando Ramirez, and let me tell you, thanks for all what you've done for the comic book industry. And, well, my question is, all over your career, you've done a lot of work, you've reached a lot of goals, but the thing is there something that you still haven't reached yet, a personal goal that you still have to reach?
How are you going to remember all of that?
You're careful that you're here, and through all your career right now, everything you've done, there's something in there that you've not done that you want to.
Yeah, I haven't starred in a movie. I've only done cameos. It's about time I was the star of a movie. So I'm waiting until they give me a starring role. I think it'll be a long wait.
My question is, you said before that your favorite character is the Silver Surfer. Why is that? And also I'm a joke writer.
He says, before you used to say, what do you think your favorite character is the Silver Surfer and why? And he's a writer, and he's looking for a job.
Well, I used to have the Silver Surfer say a lot of philosophical things. He was really talking for me, like he would mention, he can't understand, he comes from another world, and he comes to Earth, and we should all be so happy because this is such a beautiful planet. It has enough food and sunshine and water, and yet men are always having war and there's crime, and he can't understand. Are we crazy? What's the matter with us? So, whatever little bit of philosophy I myself have, I was able to get the Silver Surfer to say it, and that's why I liked him.
Mr. Stanley, we are really fan of your work. But my question is, how you feel by making a lot of superheroes, a lot of stories, and a lot of universes that were really wonderful? How you felt?
I don't need a translator for that. It's just I don't hear that well, so he's going to make sure I get the whole question. I feel good. No, sometimes it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that these characters have gotten so popular, but I feel wonderful about it, of course.
Hoy en día el equipo creativo es mexicano, realiza los trazos para el Hombre Araña. Entonces la pregunta va encaminada, ¿qué es lo que piensa del talento mexicano y cuál es la expectativa que ve?
Es el número de Bernardo, ¿ah? Es el número de Bernardo.
Today, there's a Mexican team who is handling the roles for Spider-Man. And what could be, how do you think about the Mexican artists that are working on Marvel comics, and what are the expectations that we have for the future of the Mexican artists?
That's a question como Humberto Ramos. Oh, he loves it. What do you think about that?
Oh, they're great. I never knew there were so many great artists in Mexico and all around the world. We get submissions from all over. The Mexican artists and the Philippine artists are two of the best we have. The artists that come from those places. There are so many great Mexican artists, so many great Philippine artists, and others too. But Mexico and the Philippines stick in my mind because we get so many great submissions from them. Humberto Romas. He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites, absolutely.
Quiero saber cuáles son sus pensamientos de que cómo ha evolucionado Marvel hasta ahorita.
It's hard to believe how Marvel has changed. When I was there, we were just, in the beginning, we were just a small comic book company. And DC Comics with Superman and Batman, they were the big company. And we were just trying our best to stay in business and hang in there. And all of a sudden, Marvel, it's like Marvel has taken over the world. So, what was the question? What do I think about Marvel's evolution to how big they are? I think it's great. Since, you know, in the beginning, I tried to promote Marvel as best I could. I even made up little slogans that I hope the fans would enjoy, like, "Make mine Marvel," and "Marvel marches on," and "Welcome to the mighty world of Marvel," and all kind of things. I wanted people to think Marvel. And we got lucky. After a while, they liked the heroes, they liked Marvel. And now Marvel is the biggest film company, I guess, anywhere. Every one of the movies is so great. And the better the movies are, the more the comics sell. And the more the comics sell, the better the movies are. So it's really a great situation. I wish I owned Marvel.
Buenos días, como fan del Hombre Araña toda mi vida, quería hacerle una pregunta. Cuando un escritor crea un personaje, por lo general también visualiza cómo finalizaría ese personaje. Entonces mi pregunta sería si ha visualizado cómo terminaron la historia del Hombre Araña, al menos en su imaginación o de manera de verla de estar el final definitivo del Hombre Araña. ¿Cómo lo visualizaría esta vida?
Entonces, ¿cómo va a acabar?
Sí.
Lomo Araña. See, Lomo Araña. That means Spider-Man, for those of you who don't It would what?
How would, you know how you visualize how you create Spider-Man?
Yeah.
At any point, you
Come to an end.
Bueno.
No, Spider-Man must never come to an end.
Si alguna vez pensó que estando en una oficina tan pequeña iba a crear algo tan grande que hoy es mundialmente reconocido, tanto Spider-Man como...
He said, working in a small office, Spider-Man.
No, in the beginning, I just hoped that the books would sell and I'd keep my job and be able to pay the rent. I never thought that Marvel Comics and the characters would become so. None of us ever thought so. And when you mentioned we worked in a small office, I always worked in a small office. Even when Spider-Man became famous and the other characters all did well, and when Marvel became the biggest comic book company, I still worked in a small office. They never gave me a bigger office. But I like a small office.
de aquí a 10, 15 años, ¿cómo ve el futuro de la compañía Marvel? ¿Qué es lo que pretenden de aquí a entonces?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. They've got the movies that are the best-selling, the best movies around. They just mustn't get lazy. They have to keep working hard and doing their best. And they have to try to make every comic book and every movie better than the one before. And they're working on a million things. They have a new television series called Agent Carter. And the reason I know about that, I just came back from doing a cameo on that series. The series will start in January, and I think the one I did the cameo for was number 4 in the series. And it's a very funny cameo, so if you get a chance, don't miss episode 4 of Agent Carter. And if you do, it's your own fault, don't blame me. Well, I think I enjoyed, when I finished writing the story, I would look at it and I would say, wow, that's good. See, one thing I didn't tell you, sometimes people walk over to me and they say, I'm your biggest fan. And I always tell them, no, you're not. I'm my biggest fan. I love everything I wrote. Oh, it's wonderful being here. Thank you.
Another new superhero?
Yeah.
Oh, he's asking if you have
Well, I can't tell you what he would be because I haven't thought of him yet. Although I do have, did I mention that I have a Latin superhero? Oh, I have a new Latin superhero that I'm doing. I haven't mentioned that he's Mexican. In the beginning, I'm just saying he's a Latino. And I hope you're going to like him. I'm finishing writing the story now. It'll probably be a movie, although we may make it a comic book first. I can't tell you too much about him, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time. A really great Latino superhero. And I hope it turns out as good as I hope it turns out.
What's his name?
I'm sorry, I cannot tell you the name. I'm not supposed to mention that until we're a little further down the road. They're afraid somebody may steal the name because we haven't copyrighted it. It's a good name.
Quisiera preguntarme si la Segunda Guerra Mundial tuvieron que crear alguno de sus personajes, ¿cuál sería?
Habla más alto.
Que si la Segunda Guerra Mundial incluyó que hicieran alguno de sus personajes, ¿cuál sería?
Cuando estaba en World War II, ¿escribió characters?
Sí, incluyó.
Oh, during World War II.
Oh yeah, Captain America was very much influenced by World War II, and so was I don't know if you're familiar with Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, but those were World War II stories. I love doing them, and as you know now, Nick Fury is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's nice to know that our characters, if they do a good job, they get promoted.
Yes.
Con un gran poder conlleva una gran responsabilidad. ¿Cómo nació esa gran frase y cómo se encajaba con el hombre araña?
When you created
You know, some things are hard to explain. I had written that Spider-Man story, and I needed to put something in the end caption. And I thought, gee, maybe I'll write, with great power comes great responsibility. I mean, it just happened like that. I hadn't been thinking of it. I hadn't worked on it. It just came out. I never thought it would become such a well-known saying. In fact, the district attorney at one of the offices in America has that on his door. With great power comes great responsibility. He had it made into a metal plaque, and he sent me a picture of it one day. So I'm very proud of it, but I just thought of it in a few minutes and wrote it down. I never thought it was anything that special.
What do you think about the universe that Marvel is making in the movies, with the movies?
What do you think about the universe that Marvel? What do you think of Marvel universe?
I'll show you why I'm such a good interview subject. I think it's nice. No, it's great, it's wonderful. But I have a feeling I am signing more things than there are people here in the room.
¿Cuál fue su experiencia al trabajar con Yoshiki Hayashi de Japan en el proyecto de Dragón Rojo?
¿Cuál era?
El proyecto Red Dragon.
Oh, con Yoshiki.
Oh, con Yoshiki.
How did you feel working with Yoshiki on the Red Dragon?
Great, especially since Todd McFarlane did the artwork on that. Yoshiki's a great guy. He's really talented. He plays piano, trumpet, drums, and one other thing. And guitar. And he creates his own music, and he does pop music, and he also does classical music. And I hate being with him because I feel like I'm with somebody who's so much more talented than I am, so I hate him.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, at the beginning, well, first of all, thank you for being here, Mr. Lee. And the thing is, you make characters like Spider-Man that suffers a lot on the comics. Do you think that all the superheroes suffer to continue being popular or to continue with their stories?
Well, I don't think every character in comic books should be a sufferer, but I thought people could relate to Spider-Man if his personal life had a lot of problems. Because most people, most of us in our life, there are things we worry about and things we wish were different. And I wanted to make Peter Parker like a typical human being. So I had him worry about money. He worries about the fact that his Aunt May is ill, things like that. Just to make him more human, not somebody whose life is perfect. And luckily it seemed to work. So now every time I do a character, I make him suffer a lot.
Hi, morning. Are you planning to come again to Mexico some other time?
Are you planning to come to Mexico?
If you invite me, I sure will. This is a great place to be.
How is your experience about make Ultimo, manga of Ultimo?
I can't hear you.
How is your experience about make the manga of Ultimo?
Oh, what how do you experience it?
Oh, the Japanese book I have.
Hey.
It's great. I did it a long time ago, and they're still publishing it. And I don't read it anymore because I can't read the Japanese first. My Japanese isn't as good as it used to be. But, I'm delighted with it, really. That's what your big conversation was about?
Yes, niño.
Quería saber cuál tipo de araña le picó a Peter Parker.
That's a good one. He's asking, what type of spider bit
A hungry one. Well, I didn't really establish the type of spider. I wasn't a big authority on spider. But I gotta tell you, ever since I did Spider-Man, every so often people come up to me, at least twice a year this happens. Somebody will come over to me, Stan, I collect spiders. I want to show you one. And they'll show me, they'll open up a box, and there's a spider this big inside. And they'll say, I've been saving this for a while. And I have to act interested because they expect me to be interested. So, oh yeah, that's a great spider. Oh, thanks for showing it to me. That happened so many times. I didn't know people collected spiders. And I didn't know there were so many different types. Really, I've seen one that was as big as my fist. Very scary. But he said, don't worry, he won't bother you. I said, no, he won't if you close the box up again.
Yes. You have to speak up.
Bueno, mi pregunta va hacia la saga de clones que tuvo Spider-Man. ¿Qué tan involucrado estuvo Stan Lee?
No le escucho, más alto, por favor.
¿Qué tan involucrado estuvo el señor Stan Lee en la saga de clones? ¿Y en qué puntos se volvió tan complicado diseñar historias para Spider-Man?
How complicated was it? Oh, how complicated?
Well, I won't say it was complicated, but it was difficult. You know, just imagine yourself. You've got a character that you created. You've done a few stories that you like. But now people say, my publisher said, now write another one. Now write another one. Now I need one for next month. So it gets a little bit difficult because you have to keep thinking up new villains and new plots, new stories. It isn't easy. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, it's just like falling off a log. You have to really give it a lot of thought and hope you be lucky and come up with a story people will like. Did I answer the question? Okay. Always want to make sure I answer the question. Even though half the time I forget what the question was because I talk so much.
Para usted, ¿quién es Spider-Man? ¿Tobey Maguire o Andrew Garfield?
¿Cuál es el mejor? Which one do you think is better actor?
I think they're both good. I favor Tobey Maguire because he started it, and I remember when it was announced that he would play Spider-Man, all the fans said, oh, he's not a superhero, he can't play Spider-Man, that's a terrible choice. But then when the movie came out, everybody loved it, and he was perfect. So, sentimentally, I go with him. Tobey Maguire, I said him, you thought I took out the name, didn't you?
You have to speak up. Hable más alto.
Do you want me to translate for you?
No. No le escucho.
Why the movies are different from the comics?
Oh, the stories?
Yeah.
What do you think of the movies different from the story?
Well, a movie is different than a book. Just like a television show is different from a movie. And you have to know the medium you're writing for, and you have to make the product fit that medium. For example, in the movies, you need more special effects than you'd have in a comic book. In the movies, the audience wants to see Spider-Man swinging from building to building. But now they're used to him swinging from building to building. So what else could they have him do in the movie that'll make you go, wow, look at that? In a comic book, you don't have to worry about the reader going, wow, look at that. You just concentrate more on the story. And in a television series, there are different problems. So depending whether it's a book or a movie or a television or a graphic novel or an electronic comic or whatever, you have different rules and different things you try for. And that's why they all have to be, and they always are, a little bit different from each other. Did I give a good explanation? Why weren't you making notes? All right.
Última question.
¿Con cuál superhéroe o villano se identifica?
All of them. No, I'd like to think Iron Man. Because he's so rich, and he's so good looking, and the women love him. And yeah, I think every guy wants to be Iron Man. Done? Oh, there's another question.
Okay, one more question.
I'm having a good time.
I think it's going to be the little kid in the back. Go ahead.
¿Cuál es su tono favorito de Spider-Man de 1993?
His story?
Yes.
What's your favorite story of Spider-Man?
Oh gosh. I think the one where he first meets Mary Jane. Because I love the last panel where he expected her to be some ordinary looking girl and he was going to meet her to make his aunt happy. And he opens the door and there is this dynamite female who says to him, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." I like that.
Encima de eso es como algo así que como how he met his wife, así como
conoció
su
a su esposa.
Porque él fue a salir con otra mujer que vivía en el mismo edificio.
El mismo, that means the same. I studied Spanish for 6 months 100 years ago.
His shock and reaction when he met Mary Jane. You know, oh my God, it's the same reaction you had when you met your wife.
When I met my wife, when I first saw her, I said, "Oh boy, I didn't know anybody like this could exist." And so I know that feeling when you see a wonderful person.
Yo les digo un montón de veces que en las stories que escribe, él no piensa que parte de su vida es una story porque...
Wait a minute, you're talking Spanish and yet you use the word story, and that's an English word. What's the Spanish word for story?
Historia.
Storia. Well, say storia. You're talking Spanish, don't say story. You're confusing me.
Is that subconsciously, when you were writing some of your stories, a lot of the stories that you wrote was influenced in some part in your life.
Oh, sure. The hero was always me, and the girl was always my wife. I just gave them different names.
Tell them about all that. You made that movie and about that forever.
Oh, I don't know if you saw the movie Mallrats, but in that movie, I play a guy who's giving advice to some fellow who's having trouble with his girlfriend. And I say to him, "Listen, don't worry, things happen. There was a girl I once knew, and I never forgot her. I was so in love with her, and I've never forgotten her. And when I came home, my wife said, 'Who's that girl you knew that you've never forgotten?' I said, 'Honey, it was just a movie. Those were just lines.' Took me a while to get back into her good graces."
Okay, vamos con los questions.
Okay. Ya no hay más preguntas. Ahorita nada más se va a hacer en orden. Ya no hay más preguntas. Ahorita lo que vamos a hacer es que en orden vamos a hacer la primera fila, va a subir aquí como quiera, los compañeros les van a dar las instrucciones, la foto es con el celular, igual si gustan voy a estar yo ahí, pero vamos a darle fluidez a esto, ¿ok? Sí, ya por favor ya listo, porque si no, no van a alcanzar todos, les encargo a los de atrás nada más, vamos a respetarlo.